Good afternoon, everybody. DMGeezerjim here to continue our series for new dungeon masters. A guide to dungeon mastering, I guess you could call it. Episode 4, I think. Session 4. I'm not sure which you want to call it, but here to kind of build on, just keep building piece by piece in our series, and hopefully over the course of it, we'll cover the majority of what you need to know, I guess, great things to know and best practices to become a better dungeon master. This isn't, if you want to know more about me, check out episode 1, where I just talk a little bit about my background, a lot of my core philosophies in regards to organizing groups. Episode 2, which is kind of tapped into basic rules. You want to play Dungeons and Dragons, you want to learn what to do, where can you go to figure all of that out? The third episode last time. Sorry, I need to turn off my ringer. I'm going to keep it done while I record here. The third session, I went into great detail about the concept of movement versus action versus bonus action versus reaction versus free action. Definitely make sure that you have all of those concepts down. If there's anything I'm going to tell a new dungeon master they have to memorize before they start, it's that. Make sure that you understand action, reaction, bonus action, movement, when you can do them, when you can't, free actions, how those interplay with all of it. That's huge. That's one of the bigger stumbling blocks that you'll have. Even when you have them memorized and under control, you'll still have to do some rules clarifications and some educations when you apply those concepts. Even when they're memorized, I cannot stress that enough. Make sure you have that. Go watch the last episode, bust into the player's handbook, bust into some other some Reddits or whatever you feel, whatever you learn best, whichever method you learn best. Make sure that you spend some time with that phase. So that leads us to combat. There were 4 steps that we're determining in combat that we touched upon at the same time, and I wanted to actually give us a live demonstration. So just so you know, let me move around my scenes a little bit here real quick. I'm using a software campaign cartographer. I use this for all of my maps. I build the maps within the software, and I import them as backgrounds, and we put them in edit mode, and I use it for an active VTT. So wonderful mapping program. I've got a short series on the YouTube channel talking about using it as well. I'm not a great user. I'm barely scratched the surface. I can make some awesome maps with it, or some pretty ones anyway. So that's what we're using. You might use Roll20, you might use Foundry, you might be playing face-to-face across the table using a dry erase board and Legos. Doesn't matter how you're presenting it, the theories are still going to be the same. I am shamelessly plugging my own work. You can find this map over on Etsy if you want it. Also on my Patreon if you're a patron follower. But anyway, I set up a simple, basic combat encounter. 2 level 5 characters making their way through the woods along the path. Stocked it with 3 goblins and a bugbear. This is not a challenging encounter for this level of player. So we're demonstrating combat. Don't read too far into the participants. Don't read too far into what I'm using. Understand we're just trying to demonstrate the mechanics of combat as we go live here, okay? In addition to the map that I've got set up, use whatever you're going to use. Each person's setup presentation is going to vary. This is what I use. I kind of pulled a cheat sheet up real quick, and I'm also using D&D Beyond for data access. Why D&D Beyond? Because I don't want to make you guys watch me dig through 3 or 4 of these per turn to show you in each page that you can't see. Feel how you want to about it. If you're a Roll20 user, a lot of what I have in front of me in D&D Beyond you'll have. Everyone has access to this on the free accounts. Everything that I'm demonstrating is available to every single person in the world that has internet access for free. So there's no gatekeeping on the information. Keep that in mind. But for pace of play, I guess, we're using this. But I also, over on the right, kind of set up a cheat sheet for the pen and paper crowd, which I used to be a part of, and I still know how to do. Hell, in live games, I still do pen and paper. This little stupid little write-up on the right, that's for your eyes. I have my own stupid little code system and note system for combat that is reflected on this Word document. But first thing we want to do, okay, so we've got our map set up. People are on the map. I'm pretty close to where I'm going to put them into a combat state, which means I need to be aware of the first step, determining surprise, and the second step, determining position. Personally, I think position should be first. I know the book lists it that way. I want to reflect the book, but for me, position is important. A fight only begins when people get to a certain point. A combat encounter will ensue once a threshold is crossed. Determining surprise is determined by where you are more than if you're surprised or not, obviously. So that's where I stand on it. That's how I feel about it. But by the book, you determine surprise, then determine position. I'm going to tell you right now, you'll have a lot of argument. Make that one little homebrew adjustment early in your career. Figure out where everyone is, and then take a snapshot. Okay, no one's moving. Hold on, we're about to go into combat. You're here, you're here, you're here, you're here, right? Okay. Now that we know where they are, you can determine where, based on your monsters are, if surprise can even exist. Okay, determine position, then determine surprise. That's going to be one of the big edits I'm going to make to the OG writing, okay? You got to know where you are and where they are before you can figure out if you're aware of each other. So once position and surprise, we've determined position first for the purposes of this demonstration. I, the Dungeon Master, know that I've got goblins stashed on the corners. This one's completely hidden, and this bugbear down here is way out of line of sight. Okay? Barely. When they get to a certain point, they'll see it. But if they get to a certain, we get to that as we go. Position's been determined. My goblin can see them. My goblin can hear them. These two goblins cannot be surprised. Odds are he's been informed. So my goblins are aware. They can't be surprised at this point in time because based on position, I've established line of sight. Unless they were using invisibility or unless they came off of the path over here and made stealth rolls to hide with cover, then they might be able to put surprise on my goblins. For simplicity's sake, they're not the party is not moving in such a state that they can put the surprise condition, trigger surprised on the combatants. That's something that you make sure to discuss with your party. That's why we're going to go back to this cute little doc and say that these two, according to the book, are backwards. You need to determine position first, who's where before everything starts. Then determine who can see, hear, or otherwise detect the opponents. So the first two steps have been satisfied here. We've determined position. We've determined these guys cannot be surprised by these guys. Okay, my goblins are aware. Furthermore, we're going to decide if any of my goblins are surprising my targets. No. Okay? Maybe. We'll see. Adamok has got kind of line of sight on this one. Not really line of sight on that one. So I might have to make stealth rolls with my goblin. You look at the skill stealth +6. This one with cover, he's going to roll a 20. So if they're not actively searching, I then use their passive perception, which probably 14 or 15 at this level. Knowing the passive perception being 15, hypothetically, and I rolled a 20 on my stealth, she's not aware of them. If she says, I want to stop, drop, and look, then she can roll a active perception check or investigation against that 20. All intent and purposes, this goblin is in stealth. They are not aware of it, so if it chooses to act first in combat, it will have surprise, okay? Likewise with this one. They're not within range. Surprise really isn't going to matter much in this fight. Now, that is to say, this is where the 5E rules break down. According to the documentation, according to the rules, you can only break into surprise at the start of combat. So let's just say I had, just for fun, I'm not going to do it. Sorry, making sure that when I heard something kicking up fan-wise. Oh, that's the washing machine. Let's just pretend I had 2 more goblins, 3 more goblins stashed completely. 4. Did I put 4 on there? Completely line of sight. They're out of range, not even in combat. If they did nothing Tactically, I would use the held action for this to supplant that, and I'll just demonstrate that as we go here as well. Okay, so we're just worried about this first group here. The second wave may or may not matter depending on how our initial demo goes. If I need more bodies, I can bring them in. Pop you back there. Okay. So cheat sheet document, or the base document, reflection of the rules, determine surprise, determine position, determine initiative. The next thing to do before anything else has happened is let's roll initiative, okay? Your party will have their initiative, which default initiative is D20 plus dexterity modifier. Some characters have modifiers that go on top of that. Certain things can affect that, but that's your default rule. Every one of your stat cards are going to reflect that. Down here on my cheat sheet, actually, I need to change a couple of these numbers here. Apologies. Worried about stealth stuff. I was trying to save a little bit of work in my setup. Need to add, you know what? Instead of adding one there, I'll just take one away here. 2 goblins and a bugbear. That's plenty. Take this one away. And we'll just move him up a little bit so we don't have to mess around with as much hoopla-plah. He's hidden. You have no way of knowing the bugbear's there. Cool. Because they're ambush specialists anyway, right? So, cheat sheet has us listed. All this is on the right. This is an homage, a nod to the tabletop crowd, okay? You're going to have to go into your monster manual here, or you can access D&D Beyond and jot down your notes. Whatever method you choose to use, note cards, spiral, spreadsheets, it doesn't matter. The only things that you absolutely have to have off of the stat blocks, let me pop back over, I'm sorry, so you can just see a one-for-one reflection of it, is armor class, hit points and hit dice. You might want to put a note on speed. Most of the time, if you're using a default speed of 30, it's okay. Make a note if it's something you can't remember. That's kind of the by and large, the rule it will. Make a note of something you can't remember, or make a note on something you're going to have to make a ruling on. Okay, speed sometimes matters. I didn't worry about it for this. Made sure to put the bonus action disengage or hide, because that's one of the things that goblins can do as a bonus action. Their basic attacks +4 damage, bow +4. Remember, everything's based off the D20, so as long as you have your modifiers listed, everything is just plus or minus off that, right? We've got their saves over here: strength, dex, con, intel, wiz, etc. Strength, dex, con, intel, wisdom, charisma. Just however you need to notate them for your own comfort is all you need to do. If you're doing all this, making your notes in advance, you're not playing digitally, it's going to be the same theory. You just want to have the stat blocks on hand so you don't have to flip back and forth in the book as you're playing. This is for pace of play, confidence in what you're doing as a DM, more focus on administering the battle, less focus on looking up stuff as you go. But it's inevitable anyway. We will have to look some stuff up. So, stat blocks have been established. The next thing I want to do is, well, the stat blocks are reflected. That's not part of that. This should have been done before combat started. You should have your combat stat blocks ready to go before you ever sit down at the table. That's part of the prep. That's part of the setup. Even if you're running random monsters, make sure that you've got the stat blocks on hand. You don't want to stall the game and kill the mood of a sudden surprise creature shrieking out of the sky if you got to spend 5 minutes getting it ready for combat. So kind of keep that on mind as far as prep goes. So if you're using D&D Beyond, dropping monsters in, or if you're writing them down in a spiral notebook, typing it up, doesn't matter. You still want the same basic information, and that's reflected in both documents, or the stat card on the left in D&D Beyond and the document on the right. So we're working on initiative. I've got 2 players. We're going to assign a +5 to Adamok and a +3 to Addy, because it's just dexterity. Adamok gets a proficiency based on being a melee class. Addy's playing a cleric, Adamok's playing a fighter for the purposes of this. Okay, Adamok rolls an 18 plus 5 for a 23. Addy rolls a 6 plus 3 for a 9. So make note on that on your cheat sheet. 23, which I'm willing to bet she's going to be first. Sorry, I was just kind of testing to see if my layout was going to work or not. Before I went live, I didn't undo my base settings. Not live, but recording live. Live enough, right? Okay, so Adamoc's got a 23. One more. OCDness. And I gave Addie, what did Addie roll? She rolled a 6 plus 3 for a 9. Goblin number 1, simply d20 plus dex. He's going to roll a 12. Goblin number 2, same process. I'm going to roll a 17. And the bugbear, same process. He's going to roll a 20. Wow. All right, some fat initiative rolls. Now, statement number 1. You can run all of your creatures on the same initiative count for purposes of speed of game, for efficiency's sake. When your party's a lot stronger than your combatants, it's a little easier to do that. If it's an uneven footing thing, if you win, it could be trouble. If 3 of these dudes jumped on Addie all alone, even at level 5, Addie's going to take some damage before anything happens. So use caution. Early on in your dungeon mastering career, as you're breaking into combat, keep your fights small, separate the initiative. It enforces a little more tactics in the game. If you're running a larger group, then maybe if you have 10 bad guys breaking into 2 groups of 3 and 1 group of 4, you can still manage breaking up the player's pace a little bit without having to manage 15 different initiative counts. You're still managing 15 combatants, but you're not managing. It'll make sense to you as we demonstrate here. But anyway, so according to the initiative rolls, Adamoc is indeed going to go first. Oops, come on, get down here. Bugbear is going to go second. Goblin is 1 is going to go 3. Goblin 2 is going to go 4. And Addie will close out the turn with 5. Okay. Back to the map. And we'll keep half of this up. Let me just maneuver the map around a little bit. Gotta go to half screen on this so we can keep the data up. Sure, why not? Okay. So, Adamoc's going to go first. She's got 30 feet of movement. She isn't really looking for stuff. She's sure we're walking into an ambush, but F it, bring it on. What are you going to do? I'm going to move up. 5, 10, 15, 20. She's got 30 feet of her movement. At this point, she can say, I want to look around. I don't feel right. So I'm going to let her do her perception check here as her action. She determines there's a goblin over here, succeeds on her perception check, despite there being a 20. Just throw that out for convenience sake. So she's got 10 feet of movement left. She shouts, goblin, and moves over to the end of her movement. Pulls out a javelin, free action, draw a weapon, action to throw the javelin. Okay, goblin's got partial cover. So Adamoc's going to throw her javelin with a +5 to hit with partial cover -2. She'll have a +3 to hit total. She's going to roll a 2 + 3 for a 5 and absolutely miss. She goes and throws it and it gets tangled in the tree branches or some shit. Whatever you want to say there. So Adamoc has used her movement to get to this position. Free action shouting goblin and drawing her weapon. I don't think shouting should take up the time of drawing a weapon. To me, you can do it at the same time. You just don't want to let them carry on a conversation. I think there's 11 goblins in the trees up there, 7 in there, and go check the tree around back. You're gone too far. So, she's moved into position. She's about to fire on the goblin, right? No, she has. That's the end of her turn. Next up is the bugbear. Adamoc is unaware of the bugbear being there. But because he wasn't part of the initial surprise round, it doesn't matter. That's why surprise is wonky in 5e. Make no mistake about it. The surprise mechanics in 5th edition can use some work. And feel absolutely free to homebrew that as you get more experience in the game. My bugbear's got a movement of 30. He hears the shout. He's going to go 5, 10, 15. You can move through the square of an allied creature without penalty. You cannot end your turn in the same square of any creature unless you're small or tiny. Okay? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. He's going to move straight out and go for it. Oh, shit. He didn't realize that there's another person back there. But that's his mistake. Bugbear squaring up with our fighter. I'm going to roll my Morning Star. If you look over here, it's a +4 to hit. Stay-at-home DMs or pen and paper DMs, you've got your note. You know you got a +4 to roll. 18 + 4 is going to give us a 22. If I was playing through D&D Beyond, I just click on the button. It does the same thing. I'm going to take the 22. I don't want to take the 5. So he hits. He steps around the corner, swings, and he's going to hit. And he's going to do 2d8 + 2 piercing damage on that strike. I'm going to use the die rollers for that one. It's going to do the math for me. It's going to be 12 points of damage. So as a DM, I might want to put a parenthesis -12 and start tracking damage if you know, just to make, some people say you don't trust your players. No, I want to make sure that I know how close I am to killing them if they're low level, so I don't accidentally kill them when we're learning the game. This might be the point where if it was a level 1, I wouldn't have let that been 12. I would let that been 9 damage, for example. That's a little bit more controlling the mechanics of the situation. Not telling you have to do it, but I am telling you be aware of how your players are doing. Unless you're flat out going, rule is written, you're going to die because your numbers are low. You're the master of the universe. You control the galaxy. You can certainly make 5 damage disappear before your players knew it happened, right? So keep that in mind. So Adamok has started out straight out, took 12 points of damage on Bugbear number 2. He used his full movement of 30 feet to go from his position behind that through his opponent or through his ally up to this point and hit. End of his turn. Next up is Goblin number 3. Goblin 3 shouts, "Huzzah!" Sees his buddy going into combat. He's going to move in 5, 10, 15, 20. And she's under a tree with cover. Remember, I described it. You know, you're going to use a verbal description to set this scene up. I just jumped straight into the fight. So I'm going to take the shot here, 10 foot, 20 foot. Rolling back, either A here to the bow with a +4, range of 80. Or my nice and simple numbers here. Short bow +4 to hit, same number. Let's just roll old-fashioned and do math. D20 +4 is going to be 3 + 4 for a 7. That's going to be a miss. The goblin used his movement, 5, 10, 15, 20, took a shot. And he's not aware of Addy yet because of line of sight. He's going to go ahead and try to move in for a flank with his last 10 feet. Gets to here for 30. Now our people are getting bracketed. Person 4 is the next goblin. He's going to move 5, 10, 15 feet to here and do the same thing. Yes, I need to save. I'm sorry. Take a shot. Exact same math as last time. A lot of repetition in DMing, a lot of repetition in combat. It sounds really, really cool until you start doing it, you know, and it can become a little bit of a grind in some instances. A 1 + 4 is a 5 and a miss. Now, critical fails are an optional rule. Critical hits are not. Critical hits are part and parcel for the game. Some DMs use conditions for critical fail. You can look in the Dungeon Master's Guide and get some fumble tables or some little things like that if you're wanting to add that to your game. But nonetheless, we're not worried about that right now. He took a shot and missed. So my goblins have all done. Addie sees this going on. She's the cleric. She's going to step up. And first thing she's going to do is, hadn't even moved yet. She's going to use a bonus action. She sees her friend under attack. She's going to cast Shield of Faith. Shield of Faith is a cleric spell. Let me just pull it up right quick. Oops. Just so you can see it and understand what I'm referring to in reference to a bonus action spell. Casting time is 1 bonus. Remember, we talked about all of the breakdowns regarding spells. I promise you an in-depth review on spells. Every spell is going to have something called a casting time. It's either going to be an action, a reaction, or a bonus action. Those are the only 3 they work. Well, sometimes they're ritual, which means it takes 10 minutes to do it. But if there's anything other than that, it tells you that right there. Shield of Faith. As the bonus action, I'm using a first level spell slot and casting Shield of Faith. Adamok is going to get a +2 bonus to her armor class for 10 minutes as long as I can maintain concentration. That's what that character just told me, and I went, okay, cool. What else? Oh, yeah, okay, so I'm going to move in. Oops, I didn't let her move, did I? Sorry. Almost deleted her. That would have been ugly. 5 feet, 10 feet, seeing the situation. I want to get the wall on my side for a little bit of coverage, just moving in a little bit. And then as an action, I'm going to use my, what is it? Word of Radiance. Oops, let me look it up. I am so sorry here. I'm having a total brain fart. Guiding Bolt. Nope, can't do that. Look at me looking sheepish here. See, even an old dungeon master doesn't have every fucking cantrip in the world memorized, so apology. We'll pull it back up here in a second. I'm going to show you what I'm... Because this is a rule I want to enforce with you right off the bat, okay? Sacred Flame. There it was. Okay. A caster can... any magic user, every magic user is limited to casting one spell per turn. Now, the only other thing you can do is, the exception to that is using your action to use a cantrip with a spell that was used as a bonus action or reaction. You can't cast Magic Missile and then as a reaction cast Silvery Barbs. You can't cast action for Healing Touch and then bonus action Word of Healing. You follow me? That's an absolute rule. We'll get into a lot more. So that's why I want to demonstrate early. We used her bonus action right off the bat to cast Shield of Faith. So she's going to use her action to use a cantrip for Sacred Flame. Sacred Flame is going to require this goblin here that she's casting it at right there to use a dexterity save. Pop back over to his block. I just do that, or I remember I wrote it down over here, +2. Either way, I know it needs a +2. Her number is a 16. I rolled a 16, so I made the savings throw. If I would have failed it, I would have taken 1d8 radiant damage and been gained no cover off it. So long story short, quick shot spell ended up missing, but she did use the end of her turn to move in closer. Remember, bonus action to start her turn. Shield of Faith on her fighter. Movement mid-turn, didn't use all of her movement. Decided to stay there. She could have cast and then continued her movement. Matter of fact, let's do that. I moved 10. I used bonus action. Hit the caster. Buffed my friend. I used my action. Missed with my cantrip. I still have 20 feet of movement. 10, 20 feet there. So we're at 10, 15, 20. Oh, there's a goblin there. 25. I'll stay here after all. End of turn. Okay. So that's the end of the first round of combat. We spent almost a half hour slow rolling it. I do, it is what it is. This is a tutorial. We're going to take our time and talk through it. So the first condition of our thing was determine prize. Once we're done, we get to execute turns, and on all we do is repeat. So round 1 is over. We go to the top of round 2, the start of initiative, which again is Adamok. Okay, she's been hurt. No one else has. Adamok's pissed. She's going to go ahead and use her attack again at the bugbear. Longsword attack. Level 5, she's only got the 1 attack. She misses. 10 plus 5 is a 15. Bugbear's got an armor class of 16. She's going to cuss. Free action, she's going to draw her short sword. That's all she can do, though. Can't dual wield yet. So, Adamok has taken her shot. Doesn't like her position, doesn't want to give up an opportunity attack. Moves over here to try to cut off the goblin to get into Addy. Next up is the bugbear. Bugbear's going to slide over with her. Repeat his turn. This is where it's fun for the DM. It's easier for us because a lot of times you don't have a bunch to do. You just got to keep the pressure on them. Short movement, short hit, and continue with your day. Bugbear's going to swing again. 10, that's going to be a miss. Damn. Next up is Goblin 3, which was this guy over here, or this guy over here. He's going to move in. He's going to take a stab at her with his short sword. Scimitar, short sword, same thing. Flavor. 11, miss. Okay, my goblin has the bonus action to disengage. Remember, if I move out of range right now without declaring a disengage action, Adamok has the reaction to use an opportunity attack against me. A free attack because I'm retreating. There's that moment of vulnerability. Part of the mechanics. Don't argue logic. Don't argue fight science. Understand it's a gameplay mechanic and go with it. Disengaging is doing a fighting retreat. You are actively moving yourself away and protecting yourself. Goblin can bonus action disengage. He moved in, stabbed at her, missed, and decides, yeah, this is a tough chick. Bonus action disengage. 10 movement, 15, 20, 25, 30. So he took a shot last turn. He moved in, stabbed. Bonus action disengage, moved away. Quick demonstration on why goblins are so dangerous. They are absolute hit and run. If you as a dungeon master remember to continue to use the disengage action, you're not giving your players opportunity attack. 2 goblins moving in from opposite angles, bouncing out, your players are going to get frustrated. You can really easily kill first level characters with 3 or 4 goblins if you use them in skirmish tactics. For the record, for the understanding. Anyway, we're not worried about doing that right now. We're trying to demo, right? Right. All right. So that goblin's done his turn. This goblin up here saw Addie and is like, screw it. She doesn't look as mean as the other one. I'm going to go 5 foot, 10 foot, 15, 20, 20. Oh, 5 foot, 10 foot, 15 foot, 20 foot, 25, and 30. All right. He used all of his movement to get here. He's got nothing left but his action, his bonus action. He's not going to bother using his bonus action because he needs it to retreat, which he can't do because he's out of movement. So all he can do is attack. Goblin's going to slash at her with his scimitar. And he's going to roll 16 plus 4 for a 20. That's going to hit. Do 1d6 plus 2 piercing. For pen and paper people, we're just going to roll the d6. Look over at our quick cheat sheet. Notice it's a plus 2 on damage. 4 plus 2 is 6 damage. Addie now has taken 6 damage. So I'm going to go down here and make that note for myself. And that's the end of Goblin's turn. That's all they could do. Now we come up to Addie. So Addie's in a bad spot here. Okay, Addie just took damage. Don't forget one thing. She's got a concentration spell up. Her Shield of Faith spell, remember. Plus 2 to Adamoc's armor class. So we need to make sure that Addie makes a concentration check. A concentration check is a d20, flat d20 roll. 1 to 9 is a fail, 10 or more is a pass. 45% chance to lose your concentration, 55% chance to keep your concentration, right? So we're going to roll that. There are factors that can affect that, but by and large, the baseline rule is written. 14, she's fine. Spell stays up. She got shanked a little bit, but she's able to maintain the spell in her head. It's now the start of her turn. She's a little bit flustered because this goblin's in her face. So she's going to probably go ahead and use Guiding Bolt. Let me pull Guiding Bolt up for you. No, she don't want to use Guiding Bolt because that's a ranged shot. You know what? Yeah, let me just show you what I'm talking about. There's a certain mechanic that gets forgotten about. It's not really heavily emphasized because it's most of the time not in favor of the players, so we don't pay attention to it. The idea of point-blank missile combat. Punching, slashing, stabbing, all of that is done just fine. Trying to hit someone 5 feet away from you with a bow or a rifle versus a pistol, that's why we have short guns, that's why we have long guns, so on and so forth. I think you get where I'm coming from. So when a person is adjacent to their enemy and using a ranged attack, they actually have disadvantage on the roll. And to double down on that, I'll demonstrate it in combat if I can. Well, we're just doing demo. I don't have to work all the way through. Let's pretend that this goblin was her target. Let's say that Addie wasn't even shooting at this one here closest to her. She was shooting at this one here a step away. The same rule is going to apply because this guy's like, ooh, I'm in your face. Ooh, reaching at her bow, whatever. She's getting ready to cast her spell and he's flicking at her, distracting her. So there's a disadvantage on a ranged attack if there's an enemy within 5 feet of you. There are feats and rules that override this. Remember, this is the baseline. There's always an exception, always an adjustment. You got to understand the baseline before you can use the exceptions. Just keep that in mind. But for the purposes of this, let me move that goblin back to where he was, and we're going to shoot. Okay? She don't care about on any of that mess. So a spellcaster is going to use a 2-hit plus their spellcasting modifier. 5th level cleric is going to have a 7 plus 7. So she's basically going to have a plus 7 to hit on this spell with disadvantage. So she's going to roll 2 d20s and take the lowest of the rolls. Dang. So she'll take the 2 plus 7 for a 9. She's going to miss that goblin. She doesn't want to move away from it and provoke an opportunity attack. She used an action to shoot at it. Doesn't really have a bonus action for anything else. She's done. So that's the end of round 2. Okay. So took us 25 minutes to talk about round 1. Took us less than 6 minutes to execute round 2. Let's go for even faster round 3. We're up on Adamok round 3. Combat has been engaged. The enemy has not been hurt yet. So as a free action, she is pulling out her other short sword. She now has 2 short swords in hand. She's pissed off. Her main attack will be with the short sword with her normal plus 5 to hit. 8 plus 5 is a 13, which is a miss. Son of a bitch, they're sucking tonight. Bonus action, 2-weapon fighting. Even though she doesn't have the feat, every person has the opportunity if they are wielding light weapons. The difference is she doesn't get her proficiency bonus, and on the damage, she doesn't get her strength bonus on the damage. Proficiency bonus on the 2 hit, strength bonus on the damage. So there we go. So it's going to be a little bit less of a chance to hit, and it's not going to hit as hard, but she scores a hit. It's going to be a 1d6 flat roll. Short sword, better than nothing, right? So the enemy's taking 2. So I'm going to note on my cheat sheet, -2. And that's the end of Adamok's. Well, that's her attack and her bonus action. She could move away and give up an opportunity attack, and she's going to because she knows Addie is in trouble. 10 foot, 20 foot, 30 foot. Now, typically, and I'm going to tell you, this is for long-term play. There are a lot of on-hit effects that can matter. So if someone is going to be subjected to an attack of opportunity, good guy or bad, pause their move and resolve the attack. For example, if it's a carrion crawler and they hit with an attack, there's a chance of paralysis. If it's a paladin and they hit with the attack, there's a chance of smite. So execute the attack before you finish the move, okay? So the bugbear is going to take his swing, an attack of opportunity, and whiff with a 7. He misses. She's fine. So this is the first 5 foot of her movement. Remember, she used her attack and her bonus action and bonus action as attacks. We're now on to movement. 5 foot, 10 foot, 15 foot, 20 foot, 25 foot. Well, a little bit to keep in mind on a grid. 5 squares diagonal is longer than 5 squares in a line. So kind of always think of it going as a 2 for 1. I give 2 for free. 5 foot, 10 foot, 15 foot, or 5 foot, 10 foot, 15 foot. You follow me? So just to make sure that you're being fair with the math. If you want to go above and beyond that, use hexes for your maps. You get a lot more accurate movement there, but line of fire, all that, D&D's not that complex. It would work perfectly on a hex, but that's home brewing. Don't worry about it. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 to get moved up, and even with 25, she wanted to give her back to the bugbear. That's it. So Adamok's done. The bugbear's up. The bugbear's slightly hurt. He's a little bit pissed. He's going to pursue 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Sees 2 targets, and he's going to throw a javelin at Adamok. Pulls a javelin, takes a shot, 7 miss. So, wow, that's it. End of his turn. Goblin down here that had retreated at the end of last round. Sees everyone moving in. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Has really no line of sight. Yeah, he's going to take a bow shot with a -2 for the intervening object, being the bugbear. Pop on over to Goblin. Take your shot right and quick. Nice and easily. Man, these dice are shits. 13 going to miss. I am not using these damn dice before tonight. I got a session later. Don't use them. So last Goblin's going to resolve. He sees the big one moving. He's going to take one last swat at the cleric. 14 plus 4 is going to hit. Wow, poor cleric. Damn. 5 damage. So clerics, I went over there on reflex. Mechanical, huh? Shit, mechanical muscle memory. So the cleric is now down 11. That was the goblin's action. As a bonus action, he's going to disengage and move. Can't do anything about it. Opportunity attack wise, bonus action disengage 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. And he's gotten himself a couple hits in and gotten back out of sight. Goblin shifted the entire battlefield in his team's favor and still has not been hurt or touched. End of the Goblin's turn. That's it. Actually, Addie's turn is up here. Okay, she's a little bit worried. Both of them have taken some damage. No one's really doing that critical yet. I need to make my concentration save. I forgot to do that again. Fine. Concentration's still up. Shield of Faith is still in place on Adamok. Addie's turn. We're going to use a healing word, bonus action healing word. Remember the thing we talked about with spells. Casting time is one action. Bonus healing word is a bonus action. So she's going to use healing word on her ally. And that's going to be 1d4 plus 4 healing. Just drop that down. I'll show you player character sheets next. It's going to sound funny. You don't need to worry about them as much as a DM until you understand how everything works. Otherwise, you get even more confused. So, 1d4 plus 3 healing, 6 hit points back to Adamok. Yay, her. We're good to go. That's her bonus action. Her move action, she's a little bit worried. She's going to kind of position herself up here. Her action is going to be to use the cantrip, Toll the Dead. Toll the Dead is not going to be an aiming one. It's going to be an on-site one, which is going to force a saving throw rather than a 2-hit. We're going to see if the dice luck suck. Lo and behold, Toll the Dead will hit the target, and the target hasn't been hurt yet. Oh, target has been hurt. So instead of rolling a d8, I'm going to roll a d12. And because the caster's 5th level is going to be 2 dice. So an unhurt target on Toll the Dead takes d8s. Wounded targets take d12s. So all of a sudden she escalates. Oh, I didn't want all of that. 17. Damn, girl. All right, so Bugbear's down now 19. So our cleric went from being kind of, ooh, no, what's going to happen, to healing her fighter and doing some significant damage to the Bugbear in the same turn. That's the end of round 3. Okay, cool. So we're 45 minutes in, just kind of demonstrated a couple of rounds of very basic combat, turn order, all of that. I'm going to take it up a notch, and we'll talk about held actions right now on this town. This is going to be a little bit wonky, a little bit broken. Start of the next turn, Adamok's popping up. She's going to press the attack forward. She knows that Bugbear's hurt. Okay. Popping up. Bugbear's coming up. She's going to swing. Let me just process her 2 attacks real quick. First one, 14 plus 19 is definitely going to hit. First D6 is going to come in with full strength damage. 3 plus 5 is 8. The Bugbear is now at 27. Now note my stuff up here. The Bugbear, I gave him 37 hit points, so he's now seriously wounded. He's beyond moderate. If you want to tell your party hit point numbers versus states, that's up to you. It's going to vary by mileage, by your experience. If you start telling numbers for numbers' sake, your players will think in numbers because that's what you're using. If you want to tell them descriptions, go from slightly to lightly to moderately to seriously to critically if you want, anywhere in there. Make up your own terminology to divide it. Hell, I got one guy's like, how many more rats can bite you before you die? I can get hit by 31 more times. Why? Okay, you don't need to heal. Don't stress it. Have fun with it. It's not the end of the world. You'll find your groove with each table. It's up to you. There's no tried and true method about telling your party how many hit points they have left. Find your gap there. But I know right now that he's 2/3 of the way dead. Almost 3/4 of the way dead, honestly, if we're looking at it. So that was Adamok's first attack. Her second attack with her offhand short sword is going to come in. Let me pop back over again here. And, oops, wrong view, sorry. She almost, that was so dirty. I know y'all saw that 20 flop over to 8. So an 8 plus, that's going to miss. So she moved in. She used her action and her bonus action as attacks. One hit, one missed. That's the end of her turn. It's the Bugbear's turn. Bugbear is going to swing back. It's just a slugfest at this point between these two. It's not a big deal. 4, and he's going to miss. Goblin number 1 is this guy here. Goblin number 1 is going to hold action. He knows that the cleric's up there. So this is what I'm talking about, the held action. And I'm going to shoot poor Addie. I'm so sorry. But my goblin is saying, first I'm going to move, because legally I'm allowed to. I'm going to move 10 feet off, 5 foot, 10 foot, 15 foot. Check my range. I've got a range of 80, plenty. And he's going to say, if that person comes around the corner, as soon as they come around, I'm holding my action. When I can see that target, I will shoot it. So I am now giving up anything else to say as a reaction, if that cleric comes around the corner, then I'm going to shoot it. So this goblin is done for now. This last goblin over here is coming around the flip side of things. 5 foot, 10 foot, 15, 20, 25, and he's going to take a shot. He's not obstructed. He's not going to be adjacent, so it's a flat shot. He's shooting at Adamok with his short bow. Real quick resolution, 16 will miss. That's the end of those goblins. It brings us to Addie. So Addie sees the things have changed around a little bit. She's going to step out to move towards Adamok to heal, okay? 5 foot. As soon as she comes out, the held action resolves. Because the goblin said, as soon as I see that target, I will shoot. So now, as a reaction, the goblin's going to take his shot. Okay? 8 plus 4 is a 12. The goblin misses. Addie continues during her turn. Okay? 5 feet was there. 10, 15, getting back behind Adamok. Same combo. Cure, Healing Word, and Toll the Dead. We know it's going to work just fine. She's got the spell slots for it. Sure, not, why not? Oh, shitty heal this time. Only 4 hit points. Toll the Dead, same thing. I've got to make the Wisdom savings throw. Wisdom saving throw 17. I made the Wisdom saving throw. Yay. End of Addie's turn. Okay, that's the end of round 5 now. Okay? Round 6, let me demonstrate something here. It's going to be just fine here. Because, let me move him up a little bit. Just for the sake of argument, let's say he was here for now. And we're going to say he moved back down to here. Badly wounded, not wounded at all. Just trust me on this so I can demonstrate something here. If we're still in this same turn right now, next round we're up to Adamok. Adamok gets her first attack. Badly wounded Bugbear. Please finish him off. Please finish him off. I want you to kill him. Yay. Fuck yeah. Crit hit. So that's going to be her 2d6 plus her strength bonus, which is going to be... Look at you go, girl. 9 plus 5, 14 damage. 27 plus 14 is 41. Bugbear is dead. She kills the Bugbear on her first attack as her action. Okay? This worked out perfectly. I couldn't have planned it better. She wants to go for this badly wounded one down here. She's going to go 5, 10, 15, 20. And you're saying, but wait, what about opportunity attack? He used his reaction during that turn to shoot at Addie on the held action. He no longer has a react. You don't get 2 reactions. You get 1, just like an action, just like a bonus action. So that's playing the initiative and knowing well that this guy doesn't have a reaction. He used his reaction to shoot at Addie. So I can move past him and move down to here. So with her bonus action, she's going to swing at her with her offhand, her 2-weapon fighting, second short sword, the other light weapon. We're going to pretend that was the 17, not the 3, because I just, we're running out of time here. We're simulating combat to an extent. Let me cancel that. 1d6 plus 3. 9, yeah. Goblins don't have more than 7 hit. Well, this one has an average of 7. So her second attack kills this goblin off. Woot. Adamok's turn is over. Action for an attack and a kill. Movement, getting out of range, using the opportunity to move past someone because they didn't have a reaction. Bonus action for a kill. She's good to go. Next up is the bugbear, who is dead. Next up is this goblin up here, because the other one died. Now his reaction would be restored, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, he's in a shit situation. We're sitting at almost an hour, so we're going to surrender. He's going to throw his sword down and run like hell. Free action drops weapons. Action 10 foot, 20 foot, 30 foot, or movement, excuse me, 10 foot, 20, 30 foot. Action to dash by 10 foot, 15, 20, 25, 30. All right. Quick move. He's hauling his ass. He's done. Okay. That was, I think, a pretty thorough a thorough demonstration of a turn of combat. We didn't get super deep into anything, but I did want to demonstrate each little facet of it. You know, we don't want to look at me. Let me get this back up over here on the right side here. Matter of fact, let me bring that back up. We can talk about it a little bit more. Remember, determining surprise, determining position. This is where I'm going to break away a little bit from rule as written and emphasize to you, determine position first. Knowing who's where on the battlefield and knowing what people can see is going to be the single largest determining factor in everything else. Okay, determine your position and your surprise. Most of the way the 5th edition surprise rules are a little bit wonky. Either the players have to be really deliberate about setting up an ambush, or you do. Otherwise, it's not a condition that's applied very often. Determine the initiative. You do it once at the start of combat. Once you're out of combat, you discard that initiative, set up the next one. It's in a descending order from the highest roll to the lowest roll. You execute your turns. Remember, you have a movement, an action, a possible bonus action, and a possible reaction each turn. This cheat sheet that I set up here, this was just nice and simple to summarize the information that I needed in for this combat encounter. You can, you know, popping back out on the map real quick. Maps are completely flexible to how you're going to end up playing. If you're hanging out with the family or with the bros or with the girls and dropping the map on the table, a dry erase board with some Legos works just fine. If you want to take something like this and, you know, go to some of the nicer map producers on Etsy and pick up a map and take it to the PNG file to Staples and print it out, it's going to be a little bit costly. But at least you have a large reusable generic map. You know, that's the plus side. I always look for something that's cool, but you could use it for 2 or 3 different things if you're going to print live maps out. Virtual tabletop, however you access your maps, you drop them in, you're good to go. The setup is not the focus. The focus was on combat and handling the sequence of turns. And hopefully we did a decent job of talking about that. Remember, D&D Beyond, free to use, very easy access. I strongly recommend new users get into it and play around with it. You can access a lot of information in very little time for no cost whatsoever. If you really enjoy the conveniences of it and the amount of work it's going to save you in typing all this crap out here versus pulling up the stat blocks. If you run a lot of D&D sessions, I might recommend that you make the investment in it. A lot of people up till now have been, oh, you just buying a virtual tabletop license. I'm just renting the books from Hasbro. I'll go Roll20, and you're still renting the books from Roll20. The only time you're ever going to own a book is if you got a PDF in your folder or if you have the books. So just, you know, don't let philosophies slow down your development if you have more convenient ways to access it. Once you get better with it, once you know what you like, then take your medium of choice and go with it. Till then, be open to trying out stuff. And honestly, D&D Beyond is one of the easiest points of entry for a dungeon master to set up encounters and to set up combats. Okay, but hey, I'm gonna go ahead and finish up our DM Geezer's guide to being a DM guiding, whatever we're calling this. Like I said, just want to do a nice thorough focus on handling a combat situation. You know, we've talked about actions, we've talked about turn sequence. I wanted to demonstrate it, and I know we were a little bit thorough, a little bit lengthy in the process, but you know what? This is a large part of what you're going to spend your time on your table time on. So it's in my opinion pretty important to have a grasp of managing combat encounters, both, you know, from a preparation standpoint, which we'll get into a little bit more as we do campaign prep. What do you need to have on hand to run a fight? You don't have to have the books on hand. and then you got spellcasters. That's their job to know their spells, not your job. Remember that. Your job to verify them if they're acting cagey about them. But yeah, so that's really it. Come back for more episodes. I think next one we may go into now that we've demonstrated the concepts of it all. I really want to kind of dig deep and talk about spells. Spells is going to be the next thing. I made some mentions here. We just did some hand waving, figuratively and literally, but I want to go do it. My next series is going to be, my next step is going to be a big deep dive into spells, and at that point we'll do session -1. After that, we'll start getting into campaign prep. But hey, DMGeezerjim here. Hopefully, you found this session informative. You found this episode provocative and entertaining. Maybe not all of that, but hopefully you learned something from it. I'd love your support. Like, follow, subscribe. If you know some people that might like this series, feel free to share it with them. I'd love for you guys to share my stuff. You want to support me in my long-term endeavors, feel free to head over to Etsy. This map and maps very similar to this of a wide variety as well. Similar and in a variety are available on there for 99 cents. Got some map packs for $1.99. You can help us out on Patreon as well. It's just $5 a month, get you access to dozens of maps and a couple adventure modules and all of that kind of stuff. Twitch, if you want to join up and have some live chats. All of that stuff can be found on the YouTube page where you go look at the about stuff. So whether you're here for a few minutes, whether you've been here for the whole time, hopefully you found this enjoyable and informative, and thank you. Catch you soon.